Welcome to Tapped In Enterprise. You are listening to Jasmine, Talk That Talk and More Talk, where we do shorts, motivational videos, where I ask you to help me rate my songs, rap songs, um, motivational speakers, and more. So we're on tap into this why men damage you and then discard you. So let's tune in, guys. Like the video if it resonates.
If you constantly reassured him, spoke life into him, believed in him, when all he did was insult you, belittle you, minimize what your concerns were or how he was impacting you negatively, criticized you, only listen to this. If he constantly tried to point out your flaws and highlight those flaws when all you did was look past his. If that's you, I want to tell you something. Yes, that man damaged, then discarded you. He did not destroy you. The fact that you're even listening to this is proof that you're still here. He didn't destroy you. But it's not because you did something wrong. And the reason why I say that is because if you show up with your full heart, you show up with good intentions, you show up with nothing but sincerity, openness, you're giving him benefit of the doubt that he probably didn't even deserve. There's nothing you could have or should have done differently. The only thing that you really did wrong was stay too long. There's nothing that you should have done to not warrant the version of him that you got in return that just damaged you, traumatized you. There's nothing you could have done to change his value system, whether before he met you or during the course of the relationship. Stop beating yourself up. Stop overthinking. Stop questioning your worth, questioning what you should have done differently to change what that man was going to do to somebody. He just chose to do it to you. Don't matter what you would have done. That in that situation. And again, I've started this out being very specific. Some of y'all are coming on live. You're a little bit late, and that's fine. I'm specifically speaking to the woman that gave her heart to a man, and what she got in return was trauma. I'm specifically speaking to that woman. Now, some women out there, they play the game, they go dig, they use a man, they betray a man. I'm not talking to y'all. I know those women out there, they exist, right? My blinders aren't on to where I believe that every woman is cut the exact same. There's some of y'all that are just cut from a different cloth. You worked on yourself. You don't do people how they do you. You got good intentions. You're transparent. If you intend to have a long-term relationship, that's what you coming in letting be known. And if you don't, you would let that be known too, or just stay by yourself. But you're not out here just trying to ruin people and hurt people, even though you survive people doing the exact same thing to you. If that's you, I want to tell you the reason why a man will do something that feels almost like you loved him, but it feels like hatred, what he returned back to you. And that's because even though we like to blame women for this, men are just as guilty, if not even more guilty, than sabotage. The sabotage. A lot of men sabotage. It ain't just a woman thing. We always talk about the unhealed woman coming in and sabotaging. A lot of men will get with a good woman, not know what to do with her. And instead of learning, acclimating, rising up, getting himself together, getting on par, sabotage. And there's a couple of reasons why men will sabotage. First off, put I down in the chat if you've ever been in a situation that I described. You helped him when all he did was hurt you. You gave to him when all he did was take from you. You listened to him, validated his feelings when all he did is minimalize yours. All he did is belittle you, invalidate you. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been in that situation. I know some of y'all a little bit younger, you've never been through, too much or whatever. Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. Some of y'all just not in that season of your life where you even care. That's fine too. Nothing's wrong with that. But I want to know if I'm talking to anybody. Okay, you already answered. Good, then I'm in the right place. So sabotage, and I want to make this clear because if you don't understand the fact that a lot of men sabotage whenever they're dealing with a real woman, you might think that you're reaping what you sowed, or that you are what you attract, or whatever nonsense that basically puts it on the woman. The decisions that men basically makes it a reflection of the woman, the integrity that we do or do not operate in. And I'm here to tell you that there are times where you will attract the exact opposite of what you're bringing into a relationship because you're giving it to somebody who don't know what to do with it. And men Even though I'm a man, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not turning on all my bro. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Because any man with good sense is gonna listen to this, self-evaluate, and hopefully not make some of the same mistakes I've made, mistakes I've seen a lot of men make, and fumbling what could have been a great thing. But a lot of men are guilty of self-sabotage. Now, why would a man be guilty of sabotage? First off, let's talk about what that looks like. That looks like exactly what I explained in the beginning. All they get is good from you. All they get is your heart. All they get is love, compassion, understanding, validation, presence, support, focus, priority. They get all of that from you. And it can be so confusing to you because that's all you want to return. You're not asking for $100 million from this man. You're just asking for that. You're not asking for materialistic things. But whenever you get the exact opposite, it can really confuse you as a woman. And in that confusion, because you're going to be looking for answers, you might stumble upon or come up with the wrong answer, according to what society would want you to believe. It has something to do with you. You're the common denominator. No, the common denominator is a lot of men don't even realize when we're self-sabotaging because we don't know what to do with a woman that's loving us. One, we'll self-sabotage from that place because one, we know deep down we don't even deserve a woman that loves us. That's why we've dealt with women who are good looking, but they had just as bad intentions as us. You know, they just had, it kept us in a place where we never had to feel like too much of a villain if we were going to be on our BS, if we were going to be immature, if we were going to try to get one up on them. It's a kind of a power struggle. And we operate from that place because honestly, again, if we don't have the belief that we even deserve a good woman, based on how we know we showing up. You ever notice that a lot of times a man will play dumb whenever you do something to him, but he'll do the exact same thing to you? It's like innately we know right from wrong. We know what was of a certain standard innately, but then we can play dumb in a relationship if we want to get away with something. And so what that means is this man is operating according to what he knows, even about himself. He can't deny it. He may act like he don't understand, but he knows he ain't operating at the highest level of himself. He knows that he's not creating safety for no woman that he comes across. And so what a lot of times happens is a man will get used to that with a certain caliber of woman in terms of her own self-esteem, her own intentions, because again, not every woman is a queen. I get all the hate messages in the world behind that, but I stand on that. Because there are some women who are just set apart. There are some women who are not just one in a million, they're once in a lifetime. There's some women who are just designated different. Their heart is different. Their empathy is different. It's just, that's what I believe. You ain't gotta agree with me. And so if a man is not used to that, he's never really developed a belief, and he knows that he's not walking according to a man who deserves a woman like that. He'll get with a woman like that because she looks good, because her energy is very magnetic, because her spirit is so welcoming, because she's so nurturing, because she's whatever the thing is that attracts him initially. But out of selfishness, he stays there knowing that he doesn't deserve that woman. And at some point, he's going to sabotage, because the single most defining characteristic of the human personality is to remain consistent with who we think we are. According to Tony Robbins. I don't want to take credit for that. I just studied this. I know what I'm talking about, though. And so if a man knows or believes he's not the caliber of man according to his own actions and intentions, that he should be even in your presence, that he should be receiving your love, he'll receive it anyway out of selfishness because it feels good. But then he'll sabotage, and the sabotage will manifest in a form of mistreatment. It'll manifest in the form of discard. It'll manifest in the form of disregard, of belittling you, of laughing at your dreams, not supporting you, competing with you when he should be supporting you. Is this making sense to anybody? I know I'm getting kind of technical, because we talked last night with my inner circle. I talked to them last night with something similar to this for almost 2 hours, matter of fact. You know, for those who don't know, my inner circle, those who got the Selfish Season Challenge, y'all are a part of the inner circle. Y'all know I go in for those of y'all, but we're just gonna kind of cover top level here. Okay, I'm making sense, good. So, sabotage, first reason, he don't believe he even deserves you. He knows him better than you do. Because what really bothers me is whenever some of y'all try to combat or override what this man is showing you. Like, he's showing you his true colors, he's showing you these red flags, and you just think you're gonna throw green paint over it because he got a nice car, he's cute. He had a rough upbringing, and you can empathize with that. He has a cute puppy. He's good to his kids. I was telling one of my inner circle members last night, I'm not even sure if she was part of the silver season or she got in another way, but I was telling her last night, how a man shows up in other relationships is not a direct indication of how he's going to show up in a romantic relationship. It's similar to if you are, let's say, a GM of a basketball team, but this man is great at cooking. It like does you no good if he's great over there in that capacity, but for your particular sport, for what you have invested in, for what you are looking to integrate with him with, he's no good, he's trash. You don't need to put him on your team because you see that he's good in other areas. Now, there is some integration, there's some intersectionality, in terms of the character, the integrity that a man shows up with in the rest of his life. But when it comes to romance, because you're going to get so much closer to that man, because you're going to evoke emotions out of that man, you're going to get to a proximity to his true core, his true integrity that other people aren't. You can't judge strictly on how he shows up outside of romance. You got to strictly judge on what he's doing here in this situation. And some of y'all would try to override what he's showing you because, oh, look how he showed up as a dad or, for his coworkers or to his brothers and sisters or his mama. No. What is he doing with you? Is he being inconsistent with you? Is he being overly critical and harsh with you? Is he disregarding you? Is he being like, what is he doing with you? And so as a woman, you have to be very mindful that you're not overriding what that man is signaling that he knows about himself. He's already shown you his true colors. You see the red flags and you try to take them and dance with, no. A lot of times he'll show them red flags up front. And you sitting there deploying, look, when you are in the dating stages, let a man do what he want to do so you can see what he would rather do. Now, set your boundaries. Let him know what he can't do with you, regardless of y'all talking, acquaintances, strangers, etc. But let that man do what he want to do so you can see what he'd rather do. Don't be over there coaching him up and he ain't even on the team yet. What that means is if you prematurely, as a woman who wants something real, your heart is set on something that's long-term, that requires conflict resolution and hard conversations. But also know there's a right time and place for everything. Some of y'all get hurt because you're deploying all of these great relationship tactics to keep things going, to keep things healthy, but you're doing it in the wrong season of this man's presence in your life. It's in the dating stages. This is strictly the time for you to evaluate, hands off, see what he on. Without you telling him, how much energy and effort is he putting forth? Without you telling him, how much respect is he having for you as he talks to you? How much undivided attention is he giving to you when y'all are supposed to be spending some kind of time without you having to tell him or coach him or anything? Now, in a relationship, he should have already proven himself in terms of just the core characteristics to be in your life. And now you bring him into, hey, specifically, this is what I need. Or specifically, this is what I'm seeing that could be a problem for us continuing on in this relationship. That's whenever you deploy that in the relationship. But all that energy and coaching and raising that you're doing in the dating phase, all results to you ignoring his red flags or trying to override those red flags and paint them green. And then whenever you do that, again, you get hurt because red flags that get ignored, they grow up and they become regrets as to why you didn't leave when you had the chance. Am I speaking to anybody? If I'm speaking to you right now, or something that you needed to hear at some point in your life, hit the share button so somebody on your timeline can hear it now before it's too late. If somebody, you may have been in this situation a long time ago, or right now, but it's somebody else on your timeline that you can bless that needs to hear this message because they probably going through it too. Back to what I was saying. The reason why a man will just damage and discard you, even though all you did was give him your best, give him your heart, contrary to popular belief and social media rhetoric that as a woman, you were the problem, you weren't good enough, you were too big, fat, you had too many kids, baby daddies, you were not submissive enough. Hell, I don't even want to go too deep into that because that really annoys me. You weren't submissive enough. You're not supposed to be submitting to no man. Hear me out. The Bible doesn't say a woman should submit to a man. It says wives, submit to your husbands. So even if you don't believe in the Bible, fine. I'm not telling you how to live. This is what I believe. But this is what I know to be true. Religion aside, is that you ain't supposed to be submitting to no man who ain't qualified. You ain't supposed to be submitting to no man who has not proven that he's worth submitting to. You're not supposed to be submissive to no man who submitted to his impulses, his pleasures, his flesh. He ain't submitted to something bigger than himself, principles, God, universe, whatever, that's leading his life in a productive way to where if you were to attach yourself to this man, you would be upgraded. You ain't supposed to be submissive. Can I keep it real with y'all? There's nothing about as a woman that mandates you to strictly be submissive to a man just because he got 2 testicles. If he even got 2. The Bible, where this all originated from as far as submission goes, doesn't even say, as a woman, you submit to a man. No, you're not supposed to submit to a man. Wives submit to their husbands. And now, not to get all biblical or religious, because I'm all about the Bible, but just the whole point of that is, has he qualified himself at the highest level of commitment? That this is a man worth trusting in that way. That type of dependence on a man, that type of reliance on a man is something he should have to earn. Now, I'm of the belief, and I mean, I'm sure the Bible says it somewhere or whatever, I'm of the belief that it ain't no earning at one time. This is something he should be earning every single day. Your submission to him should be requalified every single day. So if you're in that situation, a man damaged and discarded you when all you did was show up for him at X, Y, Z and the third, again, likely he knows deep down that he don't deserve you because of his actions, intentions, because of the way he has not prepared to love you. He knows that. On top of that, he's likely already shown you that he's not the person that you should even be opening up to, but because you're projecting onto him from a very good and optimistic and high belief place because of your own good heart, because of your own sincere desire for love and relationship and something long-term, you're projecting it onto him instead of looking at what he's giving you, assessing accordingly, and if you're just in a dating phase, talking phases, courting phase, whatever, letting him do whatever he want to do, but not letting him do anything you're uncomfortable with you. And instead, you're going and deploying relationship resolution, conflict resolution tactics into the dating phase. You're trying to override what he's giving you, change it, nurture it, grow it up, develop it. That ain't the time for that. In the beginning, that's the time to save yourself. If he's showing that he's somebody you got to protect yourself from, that's the time to save yourself, sis. I'm not talking from some pedestal. I'm talking from experience because I've been there. I ain't the oldest dude in the world, but boy, have I had some experiences. I done learned some things the hard way. I don't claim to be perfect. I still ain't perfect. I've grown a lot. But I'm telling you as your big brother, somebody who have been through it, that's in the circle of men who have also been through it and gotten through it, from a professional standpoint of over a decade of experience in this space. You don't hear nothing else I say. Hear me when I say this. Sometimes the only thing that you did wrong is stay too long. If you sitting there racking your brain with questions of how somebody could be so cruel to you, because you know how you showed up, you know what kind of love that you gave, you know how you defended him when everybody else was talking down about him, you know what type of men that you passed up on. You didn't even give them a chance. And if you were single, they would have been viable options. But you put your blinders on strictly for this man that had eyes for everybody else. And it don't make sense. It's clashing. It's clashing with the fundamental belief that you are what you attract. I never believed that. I actually used to say you are what you entertain. But something more closely to the truth would be that what you entertain says a lot about who you think you are. Now, that's something I want to unpack here because that's a whole lot. I went in on that for my inner circle. But I'll give you top level. Because whenever you're dealing with a man, you're going to attract all caliber of men, character, integrity, intention. Why? If you're cool, if you're relatable, if you're understanding, if you're a safe space, if you're empathetic. So those of you who think you attract what you are, no. A nice cooked piece of steak, perfectly prepared by the world's top chef, is going to attract the steak connoisseur onto the wild dog. If you lit, sis. That's just what it is. So first off, detach yourself from what it is you're attracting. But based on who you are, based on who you think you are, that will basically control what it is that you decide can stick around for a while. And see, if you think of yourself as somebody who is first and foremost an empath, and maybe that's actually a byproduct of being self-aware, you may be just first off going with empathy. I always tell empaths this: you especially have to be extremely vigilant about the boundaries that you date with. Because when you do love, you can love so hard. It's like all in or nothing at all. You don't know a halfway to love. You don't know a halfway to care about somebody. So you have to be very careful more than everybody else that can be super compartmental, that you don't give this empathic version of yourself to just anybody. Because in the wrong hands, it can really damage you. And now to continue that again, I don't want to go too far in depth because I did hours of conversation on this particular aspect for my inner circle, those who got the Selfish Season Challenge. But the reason why a man would discard you also, in addition to sabotage, is because now that he's messed you up, now that he's created this distrusting version of you, this withdrawn version of you, this perpetually sad, stressed out, anxiety-ridden, maybe even depressive version of you, that's no longer attractive to him. Can I keep it real with y'all? Some of y'all are going through things. I mean, I can't take the place for a mental health professional. I'm not trying to do any of that. I just know the real. And I'm going to give you the real. And what you do with this information it's on you. Men will scar you up and then go out there and find somebody new that don't know how they be damaging girls. Like, that's what a lot of guys will do. Damage you. Oh, now that you messed up.
It's sad how people just want to stay hurt.
With no cap on it.
Want to stay in pain. And half of the people, the one doing the shit they damn self. That's why they don't want to sit and listen to the video with intelligence, because they're immature.
But Jason said, no, I'm just going to go get me another bottle. I'm going to give me another bottle. I'm going to smear campaign the last woman I was with.
This video only for people that's woke and people that's healed and ready to change. It's not for people that's low vibing.
So this next woman can
I don't even know why low vibrational people on a high vibrational video.
A reverse psychology card on her that she cannot leave me, so that way she's separate from the other girl who missed out on her blessing. Because most men know that as a woman today, if you even attempted to protect your peace, more than likely you started at the place where you did cut off a man. You cutting these dudes off. And so now a lot of guys will say, let me kind of leverage what could be an insecurity there around how quickly she's given up on dudes. Let me try to leverage that by planting these seeds of how in the past women have left me too early. Because if she thinks that maybe she's already or could miss out on her blessing from leaving so quickly, because this is a new thing that she's doing in order to grow and protect herself, maybe I can leverage that to get to make her basically allow me to overstay my welcome in her life. See, I'm gonna really tell some stuff they're gonna be mad at me about, and that's fine. I go to sleep at night knowing that I told y'all the truth, and what you did with it was on you. Now, again, if I'm speaking truth so far, let me know I'm speaking the truth. If I'm lying, I want to hear that too. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. A man will go out here, get in a relationship, you give him a chance, he gets you hooked in, and when a man taps into that version of you that wants to fight for it, that doesn't want to start over again, that doesn't want to give up so quickly, when he finally realizes that he's tapped into that, he then pulls back, he then starts coming forth with all of this nonsense and toxicity that, of course, because you're in love, because you're going to register as an obstacle, as a challenge, as a weapon formed against you that can't prosper. And now you're going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Now realizing that you're trying to change this man's willpower. You're going, like, who you think is on your team is actually your adversary. And then at the time of you doing all of that, you taking all these battle scars because you don't realize who's actually shooting at you is who's supposed to be your comrade. You taking all of these bullets, you taking all of these wounds, and when he finally gets you to that state, she ain't good enough. Just completely, that selective memory. It's just like when a dude to get out here, man, look. I know I'm kind of all over the place because I'm just going from the heart. Whatever God gave me is what I'm just letting flow right now. Anytime a guy come to me and talk about how his woman was crazy, I always ask this question, and it continues to get the response of offense. But I always say, was she crazy whenever you met her? Man, that girl crazy, man. She did this, she did that. And I'm like, was she crazy when you met her? Was she crazy whenever you first? Because I can't imagine that you would go and want her number and want to date her, want to continue on in the dating phase with her. Like, was she crazy whenever you met her? Man, what you talking about? You acting like, no. I get it. People can change. A mask can fall off. All that kind of stuff. But before we even get there, first I want to know her starting point. Then I want to know, when is it that she first showed her crazy? Because this is the part that a lot of us like to leave out. She didn't show her crazy until you gave her reasons to now be crazy. And she was more willing to be crazy than a woman that you thought that you could play with like she's dumb. She was more willing to be crazy than a woman that you could play on her face like she's a fool. If her crazy came out directly in response to something that you did that was wrong, that was contrary to your commitment, that ain't crazy. She's invested. And now you don't want to deal with the consequences of how she's reacting to your decisions. You don't want to deal with those consequences, so you call them crazy. It would only be crazy if, and I get it. There's a such thing as a woman being off her rocker. But that only applies to the men who showed up as a man that they first presented themselves as. They held it down. They were honest from the beginning. They genuinely didn't do anything wrong in that relationship, nothing destructive. And then she flipped it. That's the case. Oh, hey, look, bro, you got a case. Like, she is crazy. She do got some problems. Okay, cool. She need to go talk to the lady. But 9 times out of 10, what happens is, she crazy. You drove her crazy. Don't tell me she crazy. You drove her crazy. You brought out that side of her. You wanted to tap into the extreme version of her that could love you, but you didn't want the other part of that whenever she realized that you didn't love her. You didn't want the other end of that spectrum. But every yin has a yang. That woman ain't crazy at all. It comes with that. That's like driving a car at 120 miles an hour. You want the rush, you want the adrenaline rush of all the speed, but you don't want the loss of control. Whenever clearly you're not going by the speed limit, you're defying the rules, doing things your own way. Yeah, you can go 120 miles if it's safe, if that's the speed, but you want to break the rules and only enjoy the good, but not with the consequences. I bet you do. So whenever you get flipped out of that car and it turned 20 times and you 200 yards away, you want to look at the car and call it crazy. No, you drove it too doggone fast. You broke the speed limit. And then it responded accordingly. Oh, they don't like this.
No,
they want me shadow banned. They want me silenced. This is why I always ask y'all, share this with somebody who needs this, because there's not enough people speaking this part of the equation.
Right.
Yes, there are women that flip out. Yes, there are women that come in and unhealed and damaged or whatever. But a lot of times what's happening is that takes place during the relationship. And because a man is he's committed, not to you, committed to that lesser version of himself, committed to his bad character, his bad intentions, his lack of integrity. He's more committed to that than any relationship that he's in with you. He'll do whatever it takes to protect that continuing on. Not protect your heart, but protect that version of him that hurt you. And a part of what protects that is for him to skip over what he did and somehow just make it seem like you were the problem, you were the wrong one. And so now what happens in reality is after the relationship is over, you're left with the facts. You showed up for him, you loved him, you compassionate, all the things that you were supposed to do. That's the reality. Meanwhile, he's left with the delusion. Ain't it funny how a man that spent all his time, all his energy trying to gaslight you will literally gaslight himself into believing you were the problem when all you did was love him? He'll literally manipulate himself just so he can remain in denial, because that denial is protecting his toxicity. It's maintaining it. We always look at these types of guys and say, oh, they can't commit. No, he committed. He's committed to that version of himself. He's committed to his pride. He's committed to his fragile ego being unscathed. That's what he's committed to. And so again, a man with damage and discouragement, for those who are just coming in, because I see some of y'all have shared. Shout out to y'all who have shared this, so that people on your timeline can get blessed. One reason why a man would damage and discard you: self-sabotage. We blame women all the time. A lot of men will self-sabotage a good thing because that's all they know that they deserve. The second reason is because you were coming in with a wife mentality to somebody who didn't even deserve to be a boyfriend. You were deploying the type of faith, belief, long-suffering, endurance, submission. But you were doing it to somebody who had not qualified themselves to even get a response back from you to that first DM, text message. Hello, how are you? Greeting. Third reason is because he came in and his impact was so destructive, even he couldn't stand the sight of you that he created. Came in, siphoned out your energy, siphoned out your light, dimmed your light, discouraged you on the regular, insulted you, confused you, betrayed you, traumatized you. And then when you had the natural human response or reaction or impact that had on you, when it was completely reasonable, how things affected you, he looked at you and said, you're the problem. Like you weren't strong enough. Like you weren't inhumane enough to be impacted by that. He wanted the love that you had to give, but he didn't want the result of him being unloving to you. And so here comes the discard, especially if he's really good and skilled at manipulating others into believing whatever he wants them to believe. Because don't think that just because he was manipulative to you, like that's where it ends. He will manipulate everybody. The manipulation comes from a desire for control by any means necessary, a desire for power over the narrative, over people's belief. He still wants that power. So the same way he was manipulating you into thinking that he was this type of guy, this caliber of man, he'll go out to everybody else. He knows he got that to rely on until the truth blows up in his face and he has nowhere to hide.
Amen.
Y'all let me know if I'm speaking facts or not. I'm always wanting to learn. I'm always wanting to grow. So if I'm over here BSing you, if you know ain't no truth to what I'm telling me.
You can only grow with growers.
But if I'm speaking facts, let me know I'm speaking facts. This is why I did my webinar, How to Not Be a Man's Internship. Because that's what happens when you stay in that space of being a wife to somebody who shouldn't even have been a boyfriend, a romantic interest. He didn't even deserve to take you on a first date. And you come in with wife energy, letting him have access to that. Now, all of that long suffering, all of that conflict resolution, all of that endurance, that does belong in a marriage now. I'm never going to tell you as a woman in a marriage to give up, wipe your hands when a guy does something that's wrong. Now, if it's a deal breaker, if it's abusive, absolutely. But if it's just something that annoys you, bothers you, maybe even offends you, no. But I'm seeing a lot of wives walking around for guys who are committed to being hoes. You can't turn a hoe into a husband. Mm-hmm. They're really going to be mad at me for what I'm about. You can't turn a hoe into a husband. He can turn into one if he wants to be a husband, but he got to do that. You can't love him out of his addiction to porn, out of his addiction to sex. You can't love him out of that. You can't love him out of his addiction to his flesh, out of his weakness to say no. Whenever somebody flaunts some vagina, you can't love him out of that. Your integrity, your character, the work that you did was good enough to impact you. It can't change this man against his willpower. Now, what it can do is maximize a man who's already on his own journey of evolution and growth. That's what it can do. Mm-hmm. You can amplify everything in a man's life by mere presence. When you're in the presence of a man who's already growing, already looking to love and looking to go higher up in life, looking to be integral. You know, a lot of times we talk about that as far as you as women being able to maximize a man's life, you the prize and stuff like that. Can we finally start talking about the character it takes for a man to even be receptive and a beneficiary of that? If that man has zero humility, it's all ego, all pride, it don't matter how great you are, you can't maximize nothing in his life. I'm not saying this to put a limitation on you. I'm saying even God acknowledges that our willpower is required, our choice is required in order to even receive him, for him to come in and move in our life. Like, what do you think as a woman you're going to do against this man's willpower? It requires a certain caliber of character and integrity for us to even be helped by you. So when you're thinking, all I did was help him and all he did was hurt me. No, all you did was try to help him. And all he did was remain who he was before he even met you and who he would have been if you were never born. Are y'all getting anything from this? Y'all catching, y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Give me a yes or no. Y'all getting anything of value from this right now? Please let me know. Because if not, I don't want to waste y'all time or nothing like that. Green roses. Okay. So I'm in the right place. I'm talking to the right people. Good. I don't know if y'all still at work or distracted right now. So, with that being said, if you are a woman and you're in wife energy, you're in long-term, you got a long-term mindset, you're looking for something to build and somebody to build with, and you're saying, okay, I know what I got to do is come in ready to pour into a man, support a man, nurture a man, be that safe space from the world so he can recharge and go out and achieve his mission in life. I know I got to do this, that, and the other. I want you to understand that it requires something on the part of that man in order to even benefit from that. So even in a relationship where you're thinking, all I did was help him while he hurt me, there may have been some help, don't get me wrong. But a lot of that was you trying to help him. Did he benefit to some degree? Absolutely. You were his coping mechanism. You were his distraction. You were his escape from what he was dealing with deep down. But ultimately, you didn't even have the impact that you should have been able to have on him, but it was because of him. And that's the fourth reason why a man would damage and discard you. He'll really look at you and say, oh, you didn't do anything valuable in my life. You didn't bring anything to the table. Oh, but then you got the table. What table? Well, he's still eating off the flow. You can't bring nothing to the table if you ain't got no table. And again, this is why it's so important as a woman that you do everything you need to do. And it's really a few simple steps as a woman. An empath, as a woman who knows that she's a wife, not a jump off, and not even a lifelong girlfriend. Yeah, you can go through that stage of girlfriend, but ultimately you know that you're a wife. This is why it's so important for you to do the very simple and straightforward things that are necessary to be the woman a man knows he has to prepare for. You better come prepared for this woman. There are a few things that in a man's mind immediately designate you as that woman, as opposed to the woman that's going to prepare him for the next man. Prepare him for the next woman. There are a few things, key things, that will immediately designate you as the woman that he cannot play with. He better come correct for, as opposed to the woman that he knows is a stepping stone to the woman that he'll eventually act right for, and give everything to her that you asking for. Now, I already talked about that for over an hour. This was right at an hour. It was an hour long strictly on that subject in my webinar, How to Not Be a Man's Internship, or Stop Being a Man's Internship. So if you want access to that, those strategies, I gave it away for free. Put your money away. It's at the link in the comments, but it's coming down soon because I only do these like twice a year, but I'm putting the encore up for those of y'all who missed it. Some of y'all missed it. Let me know. I didn't want you to miss out on that value. So make sure you click that link wherever you see it, comments, whatever, so you can get access to that webinar. But moral of the story is this. My sisters out there, and I qualified who I was talking to in the beginning because I know some people, oh, Derek, that don't apply to all. Look, for the sister out there that gave her heart to a man, you sacrificed, you believed in him, you waited on him. You waited on him. He said he needed time, you waited on him. He said that he needed patience and understanding, you gave him that grace. He said he needed loyalty from a woman, presence from a woman. You held him down and didn't give no other man no attention, no other man no chance, or even a thought that that other man had a chance. You put your blinders on. You didn't respond all affectionately when men made their passes. You didn't give them energy and access to you whenever they came into your DMs, even if you were not all the way happy in your relationship. Whatever your man told you he needed, you showed up for him. And it seemed like you weren't even worth the bare minimum to him. If that's you, I'm here to tell you, as your brother, you were not the problem. And how he treated you was not an indication of what you need to change about yourself. How he treated you has simply set his own karma in motion that he will have to face at some point, because karma do not miss an address. And all you need to do is focus on you and get in position for the man who does deserve you. Those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother trying to look out per usual. And if I was able to give you any